Hello, everyone. Welcome to the October All Agency Training webinar. I want to introduce myself, Stephanie Crum, Manager of HMIS, and my team up here at the top. I'll let them introduce themselves. We'll start with Alexis.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexis Torrance. I am the HMIS team lead for the Solari team. Under me, I have Curtis.
And then Dakota.
Hello, I'm Dakota Leonard. I'm an HUD Program Specialist.
And Michael.
Hello, I am Michael Sheriff, HMIS Program Specialist.
I am
Yes.
Stephanie Grader, one of the HMIS Program Specialists.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. So today's trainings are going to be relevant for pretty much everybody. We are going to go back into the HUD data standards and we're going to be showing some screenshots from Service Point and talking a little bit more in depth now that the standards have been live for about 3 weeks. We're also going to allow for some expanded Q&A now that everybody's had a few weeks of use. We want to allow some extra time for any questions that may have come up. For the purpose of today's webinar is really to provide consistent guidance to the primary points of contacts about HMIS workflow changes, policies, data entry, reporting, so that you can take that back to your teams and instruct your teams on how to maintain the integrity of the homeless information data system. The responsibility of our team is to communicate these changes in the system and the workflows, to provide ongoing training to the HMIS software, review in-system reporting functionality, reviewing and enforcing HMIS data quality, security, and privacy plans, and discussing how HMIS data is used in the community. So it's important to note that for some training portions of this webinar, not every segment may be relevant to every program and agency. We do try our best to apply these trainings for most of the group. Agendas are typically sent a week prior to the webinar and they will outline what's being discussed. We'll go through in the webinar which program types and trainings will be relevant for. If you ever have any questions about whether a training segment applies to your agency or to your program or your organization, please don't hesitate to reach out to us via the help desk, either by phone or through the ticketing portal. And with that, I'll hand it off to Michael.
Thank you very much. All right, webinar reminders. Well, there are 5 of them. Everyone should be familiar if you've been here. Don't forget, share relevant information with the staff, with the appropriate staff at your agency. This is for everyone. You can ask questions using the Q&A function down at the bottom of your screen. For me, it's between participants and chat, and next to that little green share screen icon. Attendance is collected by a program. That is, we will make sure that we have a list of who did attend and that you will get an email for survey after the survey and video quiz. I've jumped down to number 5 actually. Survey and video quiz will be sent out to you. Number 4, webinar recording and videos will be sent out not later than Tuesday, November 2nd. So if those people who did not attend, you can watch the video on our HMIS YouTube channel. And again, we will email the video links not later than Tuesday, November 2nd. Any users not in attendance have until Friday, November 8th to complete the survey. A few quick announcements. Eventbrite is currently down on the Solari site, having some problems, but it can be accessed directly through Eventbrite. The Eventbrite website is posted on this slide, eventbrite.com. Agency administrators are responsible for submitting the following following types of tickets: new user tickets, new project setups, reports tickets, custom trainings, and data requests. That is to say that it does require an agency administrator for us to recognize that ticket. Tickets coming from other agency staff may be rejected, but forwarded to the agency administrator. Submitted ticket is the most efficient way to resolve questions, concerns, and HMIS service point needs. So using the submitted ticket option on the HMIS ticketing portal is the best way to contact us. High-level issues and reporting support, best to go through the ticketing. All right, and the last bit is on HUD Universal Changes. So there have been some changes. We did discuss them last month. Want to go over them just a little bit here. Race, that is 3.04 on your APR, changes American Indian, Alaskan Native is now American Indian, Alaskan Native, or Indigenous. Asian is now Asian or Asian American. Black or African American is now Black, African American, or African. And Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander is now Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander. And then ethnicity, 3.05 on your APR, has been changed from Hispanic Latino to Hispanic Latina, Latino, or Latinx. And the same is true for non-Hispanic, Latina, Latino, or Latinx. And I will pass off to Alexis for a bit more on the HUD changes.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Awesome. So now let's get back into gender. We also are aware that there are some tricky little moments that are happening with some of the updates that have happened on the HMIS system. Gender specifically, we know that at one point it was only giving you one indicator, even though you were making selections. We're aware of that. We've reported that. Hopefully, we haven't received any tickets in the last week or so regarding that change in gender. So we think it's working, but if you have any issues, please submit a help desk ticket. So back to gender, the changes were 0 as the option is now female, 1 is now male, 4 is a gender that is not regularly female or male, 5 is now transgender, and 6 is questioning. Now remember, you can check multiple options for that person and their self-identifiers. And the continued change is trans female to MTF or male to female has been completely removed. And also the nuance of trans male, FTM or female to male has been removed. That data collection has been revised so that the clients may select multiple responses in the gender field as they would like to, with up to a total of 5 options possible for a client's preferred identity, need, or current situation. Also, with regards to common program specific changes, we've added logic to how to treat a person aging into adulthood. That's 5.02. The income and sources for 5.03 with regards to non-cash benefits. We've added 3 new referral event response options to 4.20 under coordinated entry events. The revised language to that element, name and responses for 4.09 with regards to mental health, and the revised language to element, name and responses 4.10 substance use. So at the bottom is the screen, an illustration of the before and after changes, the revised language for 4.09 and 4.10. Shared housing update. Addition to the SACE coordinated entry assessment. Are you interested in shared housing? Yes or no. Addition to the PHUDE assessment, is client participating in a shared housing arrangement? And if yes, what's the client's HMIS, or what is the HMIS client ID? So those are the current updates for my section. I'm gonna pass it on over to Curtis. This is our Q&A session. We're gonna leave that open for several minutes. Curtis.
There are no questions at this time, so we can wait a few minutes to see if there are any questions that come in. Cindy's asking if the guides for SACE have been updated. Alexis, has that been completed?
I apologize. Hi, Cindy. So we've submitted all of the updates on our end to our team, internal team, and our website is in the process of being updated. So there are a handful of things that are still in the completion process. So yes, they've been updated, but they're not all updated on the website. If you need something immediately, send a help desk ticket and we'll get you the document directly if you need it.
And then Tracy's asking if when the SSVF homeless prevention questions will be updated in HMIS to match the new form.
Those
The
have been,
SS, go ahead, Dakota.
I was just gonna say, yes, those have been as of yesterday, right, Alexis?
Correct. So the SSVF questions have been updated to the assessment as of 10 o'clock last night. So they're live today.
Brian Donahue's asking if why Hispanic Latino is not listed in race. I believe it's based on the census. So in a census documentation, Hispanic Latino is listed as an ethnicity, not as a race. And so the HMIS standard, HUD standard follows that the same as the census. I think that's all the questions that I'm seeing right now. So I think we're ready to move on. Perfect.
Okay, so I'll be going over the COC Continuum of Care programs, program changes for the HUD data standards. So again, this is also repeating what we did last month, but it's just a review of all of the updates that have come out. So we did add a new element that we added to the universal entry assessment for well-being. This is required for all COC projects. It asks whether client perceives their life has value of worth, whether client perceives they have support from others who will listen to problems, whether client perceives they have a tendency to bounce back after hard times, and client's frequency of feeling nervous, tense, worried, frustrated, or afraid. And then we have a new element, moving on assistance provided. This is also required for permanent supportive housing projects within the COC. So I have that screenshot to the right. It asks the date of moving on assistance and then the type of moving assistance provided. And then there's also a new element for youth education status. This is only for projects that receive the Youth Homeless Demonstration Program funding. And then we also have a new data element that's required for all COC permanent supportive housing projects. And it's the general health status question, which ranks whether they have a health status of poor to good. And then I also misspoke a little bit on the well-being one. That's also just for permanent supportive housing projects, not all COC projects. So that's all for that slide. And then the RHY program changes for RHY funded projects. There's a revised data collected about pregnancy status. We removed the limitation on collecting the status solely on female participants. And then there's a revised language to response options for family critical issues. It used to say, I think, mental health disorder and alcohol and substance use disorder, but now it says changed the language on those specific elements. And I'm not sure if this screenshot is completely accurate to the new one. I think I accidentally put the old screenshot in there, but that language has been changed to the correct language. So that's all for RHY.
Sorry, so for the HOPWA funded projects, there was revised language for in the service transactions. It is so one of the options was changed from substance abuse to substance use disorder. So that's the W1 service provided data field.
Yeah, and that should be the same for that last RHY slide too. So thank you for saying that, Stephanie.
Oh, okay. And then a new field response for the W3 medical assistance data field. It added a new response option, which is receiving Ryan White funded medical or dental assistance, and also reasons dependency. Oh, reasons. Oh, for I guess dependency. And then also the new element W6 prescribe antiretroviral drug. So this is a screenshot of all those changes right here. So this element will be on the HOPWA entry assessment. And then the changes for the VA funded projects. So they merged some responses that were for this data field, the V3 financial assistance type. I think it says, oh, is there a screenshot up here?
That screenshot is just for the next bullet point, the
Oh,
HP
okay.
targeting criteria.
Okay, so for the V3. So they merged the responses, general housing stability assistance, emergency supplies, and general housing stability assistance, other, and they merged that to general housing stability assistance. And then they also added food assistance as a response option as well. And then they totally revised this data element, the V7 homelessness prevention targeting criteria. So if you answer yes to this question, you'll get these follow-up questions here. If you answer no, then it's just, you don't have to do the other questions. And we're gonna pause and wait for more questions.
There are a few questions that were answered while everyone was going through their sections. One of them was that the well-being data element, if it was required for other project types other than permanent supportive housing, it is only required for permanent supportive housing projects, COC funded permanent supportive housing.
And I see a question in the chat, will this be updated on the HMIS intake forms for well-being? And yes, that has been updated on the intake forms.
All right, any more questions? Don't be shy, get in there. You have questions. Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions.
I did want to mention one thing with RHY because I think we had the incorrect screenshot. So the old language was mental health problem and it was revised to mental health disorder. And the old language was alcohol or substance abuse, and it was revised to substance use disorder. And that should be a language that was revised all throughout the HMIS system. All right, so if we don't have any more questions, I think a new one came in, a couple new ones came in.
Yeah, there were some more questions.
Hi, Cindy. Because there are so many files, I don't know that we can adequately attach it to an email blast and submit it. However, we will attach a handful of items to this, but just shoot me a message and let me know what you need. I know why you need what you need. Just shoot that to me directly and I'll send it over to you. There's too many files to just send in an email blast.
Okay. So your feedback is very important to us. So after this ends, please watch your email and look out for our 4-question survey to give us feedback on how we did. And if your question was not answered today, please submit a ticket to the help desk for help. So thank you so much for joining us today and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.